Treasure, welcome back to another video, and in today's video we're gonna have a playthrough of Slow Damage. It was just recently released, well, the English version of course, and today we're gonna play it. I'm just gonna play a little bit because I know this has some heavy themes in it, and I don't know if YouTube really likes showing all these heavy themes. So yeah, the music already sounds very eerie, very creepy. I'm like, oh my gosh, what's gonna happen? I'm gonna get started. It's gonna start off with a tutorial, so I'm gonna skip the tutorial. And one note, everybody below the age of 18, go away now. I'm sorry, this is not a video meant for you. But yeah, everybody above the age of 18 and who is, you know, like open-minded and knows this is not reality. Let's get straight to it. Oh my gosh, oh, it looks so creepy. Look at that sketchbook there, and look at the TV. Oh my gosh. Oh, and look there. Oh my gosh, those paintings. Oh, the bunny is so cute. Okay, let's start a new canvas. Okay, there we go. Okay, what's happening? I have absolutely no clue. The human heart is soft, like a fistful of fine sand. Oh, that's the hourglass that we need to fill, right? Oh my gosh. So, you must be very careful with how you handle it. Okay, I will be very careful. Things happening. I'm scared. I'm not quite sure how to describe it. I never imagined my wish would come true. Oh my gosh. I'm scared. You've made me so... happy? Drip. 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 Okay, rain falling. Ooh. It started to rain. Oh. Mindlessly, I moved my brush. The platter of the rain mingled with the faint screeching of pain spreading across the canvas. The sound slowly filled my empty head. It felt like my insides were melting in the heat of the dark desire I had just harvested. But before that feeling faded away entirely, I needed to get it out of my system. I needed to capture it on the canvas. Oh my god. You okay, dude? Wow, that sounds like a final boss song.
埋め立て地の老朽化が深刻になっています。新興味の A ブックは、かつての高里組の構想で廃墟となり、それ以来整備が行われていません。おい。
Hey.
おい。
Hi.
起きろ。
Okay,
い
wake
つま
up.
で寝てるんだ。
I don't sleep that much. A familiar deep voice spoke into my ear, summoning me back to the waking world. Was it morning or closer to noon? Or was it later than that? I'd slept like the dead, and my perception of time was shot. I lifted my head from the sofa where I lay face down. My eyelids were practically glued shut. Oh my god. Blinking, I forced them open. What time had I gone to bed last night? Definitely sometime past midnight. Oh, that sounds like me! At some point, I had passed out on the sofa. No, that doesn't sound like me.
出勤時間はとうに過ぎてる。
Okay, I will wake up. At this time, I sluggishly pushed myself up into a sitting position. Oh, hi, doctor. Hello. He's angry. The other men peered closely at me, excluding orange smoke. This was Maruse Takuma, or Taku for short.
お前な、
You
常
know,
々思ってるんだ。
oh my
本当に
god.
働く気があるのか
Let's not talk through him.
おい、ちゃんと目を見て返事しろ。
Okay. I looked up into Taku's reproachful eyes. What's that? His brow was furrowed deeply.
あるって
As I spoke, I grabbed a pack of cigarettes off the coffee table, pulled one out, and put it between my lips. That's a bad habit. Don't do that.
あのな、悠長にタバコを吸ってる暇があるなら、とっとと起きて支度しろってんだ。
Wow. Right as I lit my cigarette and took my first slow drag, Taku reached out and ruffled my hair. Aww. I shook my head slightly to knock his hand away. Don't do that!
と
Taku let out an exasperated sigh. His other arm carried a stack of clean clothes. It was the short of a busybody who would periodically come into my apartment to clean and to do laundry. I need that! Can I have that? According to him, I would turn into a pigsty otherwise, and he was correct.
ここに置いておくぞ。
Thank you, Taku! He set the clean laundry on the bed, then turned to the door.
しかしこの部屋、ほんと油臭いよな。
Yeah, it does. Oh my god, look at that room.
まだ別に嫌いじゃないがな。
Oh my god, look at that. Oh, that's horrible.
あ、それとお前、またテレビつけっぱなしだったぞ。いい加減ちゃんと消してから寝ろよ。
Oh, okay. I'll turn off the TV. I'll
多分
try.
ってなんだ。それじゃ、下で待ってるぞ。早く来いよ。
Oh, yes, boss. Jeez. And with that, he left. The paint smell could be traced to the stuff I piled over in the corner. A bunch of canvases, a slapdash collection of paint, and a well-worn palette, and a handful of brushes. A forest of rectangular canvases, a disorganized pile of paint, old, worn-out palettes, and brushes. But the fumes didn't bother me. Or maybe I was just used to them by now. Yeah, I guess you are. You're high on the... Oh. I leaned back against the sofa, cigarettes between my lips, forcing my fuzzy brain to think. What happened yesterday? I need to heavily censor this! I bit back a yawn. My body felt like lead. Dude, put on some clothes. Oh, that's right. Yesterday, I had gone out late at night to drink at the usual place. Then some rando started talking to me. I was totally blitzed, so when he invited me to leave, I jumped at the chance without even looking at him. Then he led me into a narrow alley, and for some reason, we both were so... We started right there. Even I couldn't tell you why I was so worked up. I can't publish this! Now my back aches from being slammed up against the brick wall. The guy wasn't much of a... How old was he? 20s? No, maybe early 30s? Regardless, I must have accidentally taken too many pills when I got home because I slept like a log. It was Taku who prescribed them to me in the first place, since I'd always been kind of an insomniac. On the nights I didn't take them, I'd either have terrifying nightmares or I'd drift in and out of sleep all night long, sometimes until noon. Oh my gosh, that's some horrible insomnia. Last night, I was so drunk, I couldn't remember how many I'd taken. Dude! Nothing new though. That's bad. I knew you weren't supposed to take medicine with alcohol in your system. As a result, I always felt like, Taku kept telling me to knock it off, but I had no plans to stop. I pinched the cig between my fingers, drew my sleeve to my nose and took a whiff. I reeked of booze, smoke and sweat. And something else. I knew Taku wanted me downstairs ASAP, but I needed to shower. Last time I went to work in the state, the elderly patients all gave me dirty looks. Okay, yeah, don't. Right. Cigarette in mouth, I rose to my feet and stretched, but then I became aware of my empty stomach. With the idle realization that my body was hungry, I slid my gaze over the table and floor. What I saw wasn't food, but booze. That's bad. I seem to remember leaving a half-empty bottle somewhere around here, but couldn't find it. Dude, go have a meal! Did Taku move it? If so, he probably put it back in the fridge. But to me, getting stuff out of the fridge was too much effort though. He's so lazy! Lazy! If you offered me food or alcohol, I take the booze without hesitation. Food never interested me so much. Oh no, that's so bad! I love food. Oh god, this looks horrible. With nothing to drink, my only option was to take one last drag, then crush my cigarette in the ashtray. Jeez, one bad habit after another. As I exhaled grey smoke, I trudged into the bathroom and stepped into the shower stall. Okay, what's happening? It's dark. Oh, intro. Yay! Okay, let's go and watch this. Charleston. Tokyo in the year 22X. After Japan went into great length to host the Olympic Games, the international sporting event ended in record-breaking failure. Burdened with massive debt, the nation was plunged into an economic insecurity. The poverty rate, which had been slowly growing since the 2010s, showed no sign of abating. That's bad. Then starting in the early 2020s, the gulf between the rich and the poor widened dramatically. Young people in particular were especially impoverished, and the underemployed rates soared to more than 60% for both men and women. Even with full-time jobs, they knew they would be overworked and underpaid. Thus, the suicide rate shot up. Oh, I need to censor that. Also increasing exponentially among young people for the first time ever. Homelessness and crime rates. The nation of Japan was visibly heading into decline. This was a major recession on a historic level. Oh The one outliner was Shinkyomi, previously called Tokyo Waterfront City. This was the only part of the country where casinos were legally allowed to operate. As a result, it was re-established as a special economic zone. But the government's infamous casino bill received criticism on all sides. At the start of the construction, the hired contractors, the Katsusato Gumi, was suspected of rigging bids for the contract. After a tremendous struggle, they eventually settled on a more realistic proposal. The bill would only legalize small-scale public casinos in specific areas. When the dust settled, all that remains was a steel frame monument on a vacant lot and a community of prostitutes and vagrants. Oh boy. But then there came a turning point. This is really dark, man! The leader of the Takasato Gumi, Takasato Ruijiro, offered to buy the whole thing and take over operations. Everybody assumed it would end in failure, but as it turned out, he received a great deal of funding behind the scenes. In this dark era, the people wanted someone to change the things, so they clung to the first ray of hope they thought they saw. Plagued with crushing national debt and a dying economy, the government had no option. A short time later, after an agonizing debate, the Takasato Gumi was given full control of Shinkyomi development and operations. None opposed the subsequent amendment to the casino bill, which slashed the public-only requirement. A year later, the city was overflowing with people in pursuit of liberty and money. Lured in by the all-encompassing resort facilities, international tourism increased by 60%, and so Shinkyomi became known as Japan's biggest casino resort. Office buildings and recreational attractions sprang up one after another, creating a massive entertainment district. Next came the residential and business district, and after that, Shinkyomi became the one bright spot amidst the devastating depression. Meanwhile, it required a certain amount of aggressive force to control a world full of unspoken rules. As Shinkyomi brought Japan's economy back to life, the Takasato Gumi began to expand their control. I'm mispronouncing it every time, right? Eventually, when the taxi threat stopped working, the government designated Shinkyomi as a special administered region. After that, the Takasato Gumi essentially had their own little nation that they could govern as they saw fit. But this slapdash prosperity was never destined to last long. Everything began to decline at a slow, leisurely pace. Now more than a decade later, in the year 20XX... Whoa. Oh wow, it does look beautiful though. The generation born during the decline of the early 21st century were henceforth called hapless children. Day in, day out, they traveled to the business district, either to forget their chronic depression or earn enough money to eat that day. The casino industry was still thriving, but the bubble had burst. And as Shinkyomi started to decay, criminal activity became more common. Nevertheless, with one last shred of hope in their hearts, they lingered in this lawless town. So all things must come to an end, right? What was that? Yeah, I have the same thing. ... It's no use. This just isn't enough. Not anymore. Okay. So confused. What's happening? Is my screen broken? Ooh, chapter 1. Finally, chapter 1! Phrase. I think it's phrase. Does it say phrase? I don't know. Okay. On a quiet corner of a residential block, Murase Clinic stood concealed among the rows of prefab houses. This tiny clinic first opened 7 years ago, privately owned and operated by Murase Takuma himself. Taku! Specializing in internal medicine, dermatology, and gastroenterology, Dr. Murase had an upstanding reputation that attracted patients not just from the local neighborhood, but workers from the business district too. The clinic opened its doors somewhat late at 10 a.m. From 1:30 p.m. to 4 p.m., Taku would take a long lunch, and then after he got back, he'd stay open until 1 a.m. His usual hours were dearly appreciated by the night workers who couldn't find time to go to the doctor otherwise. I had a part-time job here at the clinic. In exchange for low wages, Taku let me sleep in the apartment upstairs on the top floor of the clinic. He's your landlord. He's your boss and your landlord. Oh, that's never good. Below that, the second floor was home to the secondary medical ward full of hospital cots. Looks nice. The primary medical ward was down on the first floor, next to the exam. As for Taku himself, he didn't live here at the clinic. I never asked for his job or his rented room. It was all his idea. Oh, I never asked for it. He wanted me to build character or something. That was why he never fired me, no matter how badly I overslept. Conversely, you could say he didn't put any stock in me whatsoever. Oh my god. I didn't fight it since it would only create more of a hassle, but I wasn't interested in improving my life. If he got sick of me and threw me out on the street, then so be it. Oh, that's so sad. I felt no fear towards the future. Not because I couldn't picture it, but because I had no real sense of urgency. I knew it would all work out regardless. Wow. Or maybe I just didn't have anything left to lose. Oh, that's so sad. Gee. He's tired. As soon as I walked out of the bathroom, a yawn escaped my lips. I hadn't bothered to dry my hair. Sleepily, I scanned the room with one blurry eye. Euphoria. On a whim, my gaze settled on the pocket watch hanging on the easel in the corner of the room. I couldn't remember when or where I got it, but Ray put it on the easel after he found it lying around somewhere in my room. That was a few years back. The watch itself was stopped, but I didn't feel like winding it, so it was basically just there for decoration. It's a pretty watch. Instead of the non-functioning pocket watch, I looked up at the wall clock. It was just past 11:15 a.m. If I didn't hurry down to the first floor, Taku was going to come raging up here any minute now. Okay, let's go downstairs. I got dressed and left the apartment without bothering to lock it behind me. Then I walked to the elevator and pressed the down button. There was nothing in that apartment worth stealing anyway. Wow. Okay. This sounds... Okay. I rode the elevator down to the first floor, then headed to the waiting room. Okay. Sitting at the reception desk where I worked was an uptight guy by the name of Arimura Tsukasa. Okay. Hello, moody guy. When he spotted me, he scolded, rose his feet and left the desk. The look on his face screams, "You're late!" Technically, I was supposed to be covering the reception desk, but Arimura must have come in to cover for me. This happened on occasions, and that occasion happened a lot. An aura of faded blue swayed around Arimura. I called this colorful aura smoke. Apparently only I could see it. Each person had their own uniquely colored smoke, which shifted depending on their mental state. The most obvious change happened when someone was angry. The color would get muddy. I couldn't see my own smoke, however. No clue when I first started seeing it. From what I could remember, I used to think everybody could see it. Once I found out that wasn't the case, I stopped telling people about it. Was it some kind of superpower? Probably not. More than likely, it was proof that something was wrong with me, like a hallucination. Hence, I generally didn't give it much thought. Yo! I called out to Arimura in spite of his resting face. He was the most reliable nurse Mirza Clinic had. Whenever his shift ended, he would go downtown to go drinking at a gay bar. Apparently, I wasn't this type.
父さん遅れて悪かったっていいえそれは今更なのでもういいです
He's so used
そ
to
れよ
it.
り自分宛ての荷物はちゃんと持って行ってくださいいつも置きっぱなしじゃないですか
Okay.
放置するなら処分しますから
All mail delivered to the clinic was taken to the staff room. Arimura was in charge of sorting it. Sometimes I would buy art supplies or books online, but other than that, I never got any packages. So if I received anything else in the mail, I just assumed it was junk and didn't bother collecting it.
それでいいよ
Oh my gosh. He's like, go, throw it away. His eyes narrowed even further, but I ignored him and stepped into the staff room. The reception desk and the staff room were divided by a single curtain. That's easy. Easy access. I pushed past it and arrived at the reception desk interior. Arimura gave me a dirty look and walked off down the hall. From here on, I would spend the next few hours bored out of my skull. The clinic was quite peaceful and utterly devoid of stimulus. I called the next patient up to pay their bill, then set their medical exam card, insurance card, itemized bill, and prescription up on the counter. Robotically, I processed the payment, then biting back another yawn, I called for the next patient to proceed to the exam room. Wow. This is like boring, man. Oh. Okay. Moving on to the next stage. Oh. Today my shift ended in the afternoon, so I headed back to my apartment. I lounged lazily on the sofa for a while, then after the clinic closed, I headed back downstairs. No real reason, I was just bored of my apartment. Okay.
今日も働いたな
Okay, you okay? As I sat slumped on a bench in the empty waiting room, Tucker walked out from the hallway, his orange smoke hanging over him. Stretching his arm up, he turned his head from side to side, cracking his neck so loudly, I half wondered if he broke something. Did you break your neck?
お疲れ
You didn't do anything! I didn't mean a word of it though. He snorted at me. I
寝坊
understand.
常習犯に言われたくないな
Mr. Chronic Oversleeper.
ちゃんと働いただろ
Wow, he does care.
そう言いたければ朝はちゃんと起きろよほれ
Okay. He pulled something out of his coat pocket and tossed it at me. It's an alarm clock. I caught it and looked down. It was a can of coffee. Oh, I thought he would send him an alarm clock.
入れてくれないのか
Canned? Not fresh?
お前なんか観光費で十分だ
Oh! That being said, he was still treating me to a free drink as a token of his appreciation. Aww. Taku bought canned coffee in bulk and kept the staff room fridge stocked at all times for this exact reason. Sometimes when he was feeling up to it, he'd make fresh coffee instead. But for the most part, he took the faster, easier option. Oh my god, he just brought you coffee, okay? Don't complain. Jeez.
備品の発注と掃除終わりました
Oh, that's somebody very happy. Right as I cracked open the can, the exam room door opened and a bubbly voice rang out. Ah, look, my bubbly guy. was Izumire, one of the other part-timers. His main job was at a bar called Roast. I think it's Roast. No, Roast is with an A, right? Roost. But since they didn't open until 5 p.m., he would often pick up shifts at the clinic to fill the time. Evidently, he wasn't working at Roost tonight, since he was still here this late. Our clinic employed 2 nurses, 4 part-timers, and 1 doctor. Great. Thanks. Smiling, Taku looked over at Ray and raised a hand in acknowledgement.
全然いいのよ。気にしないで。
お疲れ。
Good work. He doesn't mean it. But as soon as Ray laid eyes on me, he stormed right over to me.
ちょっと。
Excuse me. What? Uh-oh.
あんた今日も寝坊したでしょ。有村君に仕事を押し付けて。
Oh my gosh, this is so
少し
funny.
だけだろ。
開き直らないの。寝坊は寝坊よ。
He put his hands on his hips and scolded me like he was my mom. Hey mom, don't scold me. But his smoke was bright yellow, and since it wasn't swaying, I could tell he wasn't really that angry. Aww! Born to a Japanese father and an English mother, he had a well-sculpted face. Because this, he was wildly popular with our patients, particularly women. Aww.
もう、あんまり迷惑かけないようにしてよね。有村君、とっても真面目に働いてくれてるんだから。
そうだそうだ。もっと言ってやれ。
Taku leaned back against the reception counter and cracked open his can with a smirk. Everybody is like, dude, you overslept. Now you're being punished. Believe it or not, he was pretty well liked too. Hiding beneath that stubble post-work fatigue was a manly, rough, heavy face. Plus, the patients all praised his warm bedside manners. To them, his messy hair and stubble was rugged rather than lazy. Weird how this somehow never applied to me. Well, you're lazy, okay?
で、そういや有村君は帰ったか？
Yeah.
とっくの昔に。
He left. He was like, I'm done with you people.
今日はいつもより長く入ってくれて助かったよ、レイ。ありがとな。
They're being
ど
sweet.
ういたしまして。お礼はスイーツでもいいのよ。
ファミレスのパフェでいいか。
Oh, perfect!
オッケー。
Love perfect. As I watched their conversation from the sidelines, my gaze drifted to Tucker.
疲れてるな。
ん？
疲れてる。顔が。
Oh, he looks tired. Grimacing, he touched his cheek and sighed. Granted, he always looked tired, but lately it was more noticeable than ever.
何？疲れてるの？寝不足？
Oh.
それもあるが気疲れだ。
Oh,
気
he's
疲れ？
drained.
はあ
Oh. He let out an even bigger sigh.
うちの患者さん、夜の仕事についてる人も多いだろ？
そうね。昼間はお年寄りや子連れの人もいるけど、深夜になると男女関係なく夜の仕事の人が増えるわね。
ま、その中には事情があって働いてるって人も結構いて
Oh,
な。
that's so sad.
診察中に悩みを相談されることもあるわけだ。
Okay.
悩みって。ああ、メンタル面でってことか。
そうだ。
He's
家
dealing
庭
with
の
heavy
事情だっ
stuff.
たり、友人や知人には簡単に話せないような重い話だったりな。心の方は専門外だから治療できんが、相談があった時はできる限り話を聞くようにはしてる。無下にするわけにもいかないし、それで患者さんの心が少しでも軽くなるならいいだろ
そうね。
う。ねえ、悩み相談ってのは前からちょくちょくあったんだが。
多い？増えたってこと？
うん。少し前までは1週間に1人2人くらいだったんだが、明らかに増えてる。
Oh,
それに、
okay. He seems to remember something. He stopped short and looked away.
切羽詰まった患者さんが増えた気がするんだ。話をしているうちに泣き出したり、いきなり声を荒げたり。
Wow, that's heavy, man.
たまに診察室から怒鳴り声が聞こえてくるけど、 あれってそういうことだったんだ。
できることならメンタルケアもしてやりたいとは思うんだが、そうはいかないからな。
No. If you're, you
た
know,
だ
if you're not a trained
感情が
professional.
高ぶってる状態の患者をないがしろにするわけにはいかんだろう。
そうね。最近、診察時間がやけに長い患者さんがいるなぁとは思ってたけど。
どう対応したらいいものかってずっと考えてるんだが。
Rubbing the back of his hand, Taku let out his third sigh of the night. But really, was it any wonder that more and more of his patients were starting to have mental health problems? Oh no. This is bad. Over the past decade, Japan's younger generation had been plunged into extreme poverty. A few years ago, you'd see people on TV yelling about the 2030 age demographic inability to save money or to find a stable career, but now was even worse. These days, you saw women curled up in their underwear on the sidewalk, while men started fights and mocked strangers. Young teenagers would dress in clothes to work the corners. Compared to 10 years ago, there were a lot of more murder cases, and many of them were either unsolved or dropped. The cops were useless too. They couldn't keep up with the growing number of criminals. But of course, here under the Takusatogumi thumb, the Shinkyomi police force was basically just there for decoration. Oh no. The gig economy had become commonplace, so jobs were scarce, the cost of living was high, and the wages were at an all-time low. These things all helped drive people to rock bottom, where they had no choice but to keep living. The nation of Japan was seeing povertization on a level that a few decades ago was never seen outside dystopian fiction. Shinkyomi had a disproportionately large number of hospitals, possibly in correlation to the crime levels. Naturally, there were plenty of unlicensed and back alley doctors to be found here. These days, hospitals probably had to serve as battered women's shelters on top of everything else. Like Taku said, doctors had a sworn duty to help people, and people here needed help, not just with their bodies, but with their minds too. Oh my god.
つまり心を病んでるやつが多いってことだろ。
Wow, you got a couple of nut jobs coming. Okay, you can be a bit more nicer, okay? Tucker and Ray both turned to look at me.
その言い方、俺は好かんな。
No, I can't also appreciate that.
別に間違ってない。
Dude. I downed my coffee, set the empty can on the floor, and rose to my feet.
どこ行くの？
散歩。
Oh, it's gonna be walking.
ちょっと。
But I ignored Ray's frustrated retort, walked to the front door, and left the building. Exhaling white fog into the cold air, I reached into the back pocket of my pants and pulled out my cigarettes. I'd forgot to grab a coat, but I was too lazy to go back and get one, so I figured I'd be fine. As I walked down the dirty sidewalk, I put a cigarette between my lips and lit it. Jeez, there's a lot of talking. In Shinkyomi, the nights were long. If anything, it had only just begun. Like usual, I stumbled around town on a whim, looking for one night stand. Not because I was especially lonely or sought another human's worth or anything like that. Dude, fine, whatever. I felt no love, no passion, no desire. All of my emotions had rusted over. Was just the only way I could feel anything at all. Well, not the only way. The other way was through violence, fist fights. But what I wanted was an all-out brawl, enough to me. And I knew there were very few people in this world capable of that. Most people I thought had held back, even just subconsciously, afraid to hurt me beyond a certain threshold. Thus, there was no point in looking for someone special. Generally speaking, I felt very little in the way of a standard human emotion. No idea when it started, but I probably wasn't born like this. Sometimes I got irritated when people nagged me too much, but for the most part I held it in. Other people seemed to see me as unfeeling monster. But in a rare moment that I was overcome with powerful impulses when I was or that was when I truly felt joy. What? And while many were too scared to enact violence directly, there were plenty in this town that loved to hurt people on the inside. So yeah, I had a lot of hookups if you ask me. If I liked I would say yes. But I wasn't interested in learning about the persons attached to the nor did I feel like telling them about me. I just wanted them to use me like a then throw me away. That was the compromise I was willing to make. God! Full on censorship here! Oh, jeez. So many censorship. I don't know. Oh, it's getting late. The next day, I didn't work at the clinic, so I slept in until noon. Oh. I awoke lying on my back on the sofa. I sat up, lit a cigarette, and took a drag. In the end, I never did find a hookup last night. Instead, I picked a random bar, had some drinks, and went home. Good! All in all, it was a pretty tame night, considering the previous nights where I drank until I blacked out. Because of that, I felt lackluster. Uh-oh. I took my time enjoying my cigarette, gazing at the TV that had been left on all night. Then suddenly a new Skyron flashed up on screen.
続き内容を一部変更してお送りします。
Oh, he died of a heart failure.
高里組の組長である高里隆二郎さんが心不全の
My
ため
eyes was
亡くなりまし
locked
た。
on the white text. The leader of the Takasato Gumi was dead. Oh no. But then the surprise faded. Oh, that was it. For the record, I had been informed that this man was my biological father. No way! My mother was his mistress. In other words, I was his illegitimate son. That said, I had next to no memory of being around him. Frankly, I could only vaguely remember what he looked like. So I didn't have much of an emotional response to the news of his passing. Just sort of, oh, he died. I looked away from the TV and leaned back against the sofa. Just then, I heard a muffled bustling noise and realized the cell phone on the far edge of the sofa was ringing. It's annoying. I picked it up and looked at the screen. Sakaki was calling. I could also see a series of notifiers that indicated he'd been calling for a while. Oh no. He probably wanted to talk about my father, and if so, I wasn't interested. I dropped the phone back onto the sofa without answering it, cigarette dangling from my lips. I stared up at the ceiling. I had no real plans for today. Maybe I'd wander around downtown. With that thought, I took a long, deep drag. His bad habits. Jeez. Exhaling smoke, I crushed my cigarette in the ashtray. Then I rose to my feet and pulled up my coat. Now then, where to? Okay, I'm gonna stop the video here because, geez, I've already been recording for almost an hour. So that was the first part of slow damage. We haven't done any of the mechanics yet. So yeah, let me know if you want to see more of this, or if you're like, you know what, I'm just gonna play the game myself. But yeah, thank you so much for watching, and as always, wish you, love you, bye.